Hello and welcome to Ortner's Garage, youtube.com. Tonight we're working on a generator, Troy-Bilt. Customer says that it doesn't run, hard to start, been sitting for a while with gas in it, old bad gas problem. So it's carburation, typical, what we deal with every day. But let's get into this video and see if we can fix it. Here she is, 5,550 Troy-Bilt generator. Let's see here. Has spark, has good compression, still won't start. So let me get the camera mounted here and we'll get into this video and get you guys seeing what we got going on here. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove this here air cleaner cover, 8mm on the gun. Air filter doesn't look terrible. It's got a little rash there on the bottom of the foam. Not bad. I'll have to see if I have one. Maybe if I got one, we'll replace it for that. Other thing is, let's see here. Spark checker. Show you guys. It's got spark. I don't know if the camera can see it there. Let me bring you down here. See if I can pull it in. See if you guys can see the spark here. All right, so we got a 11mm socket. Fits these two nuts here on the air cleaner plate. Hopefully you guys were able to hear the spark. I don't know if you'd be able to see it in that last there, but hopefully you can at least hear it, Let's see. Oh, wow. I got a mess. Pull your, pull the choke lever off the carburetor. Pull this out of your valve cover. So, we've got two bolts here. They're like a star Torx. Almost look like a triple square type deal. We're just going to grab them with some pliers very gently and break them loose. A lot of these have an 8mm head on the end. And you can just put a socket on it and break it loose. There's that one. Get this one. Be careful you don't grab your threads. You grab your threads, you can really make your life miserable putting it back together. Let's see, make sure I'm not grabbing nothing here. There we go. Now, them are loose. We'll be able to zip these bolts out. And we'll be able to remove this carburetor. Then we'll get it apart. We'll get it off. Get it down. We'll sit down here and we'll go over how to take it apart, clean it good, and reassembly. Wow, she's stuck on there, isn't she? Let's see. Wow, I can't believe how stuck it is. Oh, there we go. Oh, hopefully we wouldn't rip that gasket. I don't know if I got another one. So, there's a linkage here. You're going to want to pop that linkage out. Pop your spring off. Your governor. As you can tell in there, that's inside the carburetor. It's real dirty. Let me grab some needle nose. We'll pop the fuel line off. And move that up enough. Get the pliers. Break it loose. Grab a different pair of pliers here. Now, if you have to, you can cut this hose. If you have enough length, you can just cut it off and extend it down. All right, guys. Look at that fuel. Nasty. Varnishy, watery kind of looking stuff. Number 2 screwdriver. I've already had to crack them loose. If you can't get them to break loose, you can use a pair of vice grips. Whatever you got, something to grab it. And impact drivers, what you really should be using for that. And hopefully we can get this carburetor to come clean. Looks like it's a Nicky. I hate Nicky carbs. They're miserable. They're hard to work on. I got this O-ring in here. I'll show you. You want to make sure you get that O-ring back in there good. Or Yeah, see that? See this O-ring thing in here? Now, on some of the lawn tractor carbs, I've had this thing kind of a pain in the butt to put back together. But it doesn't look too bad in here. Oops. A little bit of varnish in there. It wasn't as bad as what we thought it would be. So we'll get this all carefully pull that out. If it stays in there, you really want to try and blow through this carburetor with brake cleaner or carb spray, something like that. Sometimes the carb spray it'll in a ways make this rubber soft. But let's see if we can carefully pull this O-ring off without tearing it up, without stretching. You want to be gentle pulling it off. You stretch it and you're fighting to get it back together. Ooh, look at there. There's some crud. Now you can take this float off, pull the pin, and the float will come off. Which, a good thing to look at here is your needle. So you're looking for any kind of a ridge. Take your fingernail, kind of rub it on there, and you're looking for a ridge, a tear, chunk missing out of it. This one looks good. So we're going to go ahead, put it back on. You drop your needle into your float right there, and then you bring it over. You got that's your seat for your needle and seat valve. Whoop. In your carburetor. One thing you want to do is we'll flush it all out once I get back together. I like to fill the backside with some carb spray, carb clean, and watch it work. See if it dribbles, stuff like that. So what we'll do, we got this carb sprayer. We'll spray it all off. Just kind of blow it out, you're getting all the crap off. See, there's your main jet. All the little holes. Any hole you see in there, you want to get it good and clean. Let me go grab a rag and so I can lay this stuff out on here once I get it clean. Rag here. So, looks good there. We're going to lay that aside. Sometimes I will soak these carburetors overnight. It just depends on the carburetor, really. This one's not terrible. For some reason, it had a bunch of crap laying in here. So I don't know, a bunch of corrosion in the throat of it. Stains. So sometimes you'll have a carburetor that'll have a bunch of dirt stains in it. Corrosion stains. That's not going to hurt anything. You just want to make sure that you're getting all the loose grit and grime out. Every orifice can blow through. It's a good thing to use air. But, just kind of go through it. You can kind of see up in here where it blows through. So that orifice is good. This is your main in. You can see it blowing back through there good. I didn't really see it blowing through there good. So, just kind of going through the carb. Now that one. Where that one goes here. All right, guys, so see how there's like some varnish in the bottom of that bowl here, deposits. You're going to take a scraper. I use a pick. This one's kind of old and broken. Just kind of pick away at it with a little bit of carb clean in there. You're kind of just trying to get anything out of there that could break loose, clog a passage or a jet in the carburetor, and then flush around, rinse it out, kind of get, the cleaner the better, you always want to make sure that your carburetors are clean, and then you take, all right, back at her here. So, here's your O-ring. What you're going to look for is any kind of cracking, splitting, tears. Now, this little bit of corrosion on the outside edge, we'll just kind of wipe it off. You don't really want to spray this with any kind of carb clean. Really, you should probably replace this, but a couple times a use, 2-3 times. As long as you don't get carb spray on it, brake cleaner, carb cleaner, anything like that that can make it dissolve, make it shrivel up or get brittle. It's things that you want to kind of look for. Now, it only goes on one way, so you kind of line it all up. What I like to do is start in the center and kind of press it in there on my way out. See how you can get it. If you aren't careful, it takes a little bit of doing. Might be fun. Might have to put a little bit of some grease or something on it here. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna. I might have to let it sit. I don't know. Might need a new one. Junk. These Nicky carbs, they're junk. Oh, geez. Yep. Hold on. All right, guys. So I think we'll be able to pop it back in there. We're gonna try. If it doesn't, then I'll have to order an O-ring. I'm really hoping it does. So now you got a spring on the bottom of your float assembly, main jet, and there's a lip right here. That lip has to go in this hole, so you kind of bring it down over your main tube there, your orifice. Your emulsion tube is what that's called. All right, looks like our O-ring is staying in the grooves. We're gonna bring our bowl over and set the bowl back on. Now, so you might ask, well, maybe that bowl should go a certain way. This one doesn't look like it. Sometimes your carburetor bowls will have an indent in the bottom. That kind of means that your float on this side of the carburetor would go in the lower side or the higher side, and your float over here would be in the lower side. Like Tecumseh engines, they're known to have that on there. Some of your older Briggs push mower engines. Now I put a little oil on that gasket just to kind of hold it in the groove. You can use grease. I don't really like to, because there's a chance that grease could get in there and plug a main jet. I mean, I'm sure the fuel will break it down over time, and it would probably clear up, but it just might make it hard to do trying to get something running. I mean, you're trying to make sure everything's cleanliness. Now, as you can see in the throat here, is a little bit of corrosion. I carb cleaned it, tried to get as much off of there as I can. That fuel doesn't sit in there. Air kind of flows through there. So a little bit of corrosion in there. I scrubbed it with a little bit of cleaner and a pick. But you get the best you can in there. Now inside the bowl, like I said, you really want that clean. Get these as tight as you can. I've got a snap-on number 2. You can use whatever you want. I mean, it's just what I've got. I like them. I like the Matco screwdrivers really well. I've had really good luck with the Japanese carburetors, like on your ATVs and stuff, using that Matco screwdriver to get your screws out of your carburetor bowls and things like that. So now, this doesn't have a mixture screw. It's got some plugs in it. I mean, we aren't going to mess with that. It kind of tried to start. It's hard to start, so I think just blowing through all the jets and really new fuel is going to make this thing run a lot better. I will check the spark plug and see about how old it is. It doesn't look old, but it's just how much the customer wants to spend on it, and time will frame. He wants it back because you never know. Power goes out. So I'll get over here and we'll get this thing mounted back on the generator and put some fresh fuel to it and see how she runs. We'll be back. All right, guys, what I've got here is a vacuum. You pump the handle and it sucks fuel or whatever. You can get these in air-powered. This is just something I had for a long time. And it was cheap. I got it from a good friend that bought something newer, and I was going to get rid of these, so they work great. I've used them for quite a while. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to suck all the fuel out with it. And then we'll get the carburetor back on, put some fresh fuel in it, and see if we get it to fire up. Guys, check this fuel out. Nasty. Real dark. Don't have a vacuum like I do to suck the fuel out like I did out the cap. If you had to, you could take this thing outside, flip it upside down, dump it out. You're not going to get it all out that way just because of the way this tank is. And, I mean, this goes for all generators. I mean, there's a lot of different caps and stuff on them. All right, guys, so we're going to put this carburetor back on. One thing you really want to look at is your gasket. Make sure it doesn't rip. Usually you can, again, reuse it just like you do the carb bowl gasket. So let me get the carburetor here and we'll get her back on. So if you look at the top of this carburetor here, you got a little hole and a big hole. The big hole is for the rod that goes over and connects to your governor arm. And then you got a little spring that goes in here. So you'll see there's a little tiny wire spring right here. You can see the spring right there. That's the little wire. And then you've got the bigger wire, thick wire, you know, I mean, it's pretty substantial wire. That is your goes in the big hole. That's what connects it, makes the throttle work. Let's get this carburetor back on. So we're gonna put the big rod in the hole. And then we'll get the spring in there. The spring can be a little tough sometimes, I guess. Not terrible. Now I like to use Loctite just about on everything. Once you tighten it down, it's just a little assurance, you know, that doesn't hurt. This red's not very strong stuff. Just a tiny dab isn't going to hurt anything. So we'll get this bolts back through. All the way through the carburetor, into the motor. Same with this one. Nut back off. All right, now I'll take our vice grips. We'll just grab the tips. Now, they make a star socket. It's like they call it an inverted Torx socket. It's like a Torx bit, but inverted. So it'll slide onto the ends of these. And you can get them at your local Harbor Freight, or any hardware store. I haven't seen them at like the big box stores or anything. Your tool trucks will have them. I mean, if you're wanting quality, go to your tool trucks. They'll give you a quality tool. But if you're not using them daily, in and out, a cheap set from your local Harbor Freight or wherever you decide to buy tools, we'll have something like that. Napa stores. All right, next thing we'll do is we'll put this fuel line back on. Let me grab some other pliers here. So you guys can see here. All right, perfect. Okay, now regular pair of pliers. We'll come in from the side. Grab the spring clamp. Always reuse your spring clamp. If you don't have a spring clamp, you could use a gear clamp, normal style hose clamp. I guess a lot of places they call it a gear clamp, a hose clamp. Make sure you get her down on there. Make sure it's on the barb. Let it go, and you're good. Next thing we'll do is we'll grab the air cleaner base plate. Not in terrible shape, a little corroded, but it'll be fine. Next thing you really want to watch is where your choke is. So if you look in this thing, there's a slot in the hole. There's a slot. There's two tabs on the side here. of the choke mechanism to go to the throat of the carburetor. You always want your lever pointing towards the air cleaner. So we'll get the hose back in the valve cover, kind of work it in there, and then we'll come around, pull our choke lever up, get our base plate, our back plate back on. Well, we might have to do it this way. You want to be careful. There we go. You want to be careful putting this choke lever back on. It is plastic. Depending on how old your machine or whatever it is you're using is, it could be very brittle. There you go. So now we've got that back on. Now we'll get our nuts. Put a little dab of Loctite on them. I just have it. In the power sport industry, we use it on just about everything. And I mean, you look at a manual, Yamaha, Honda, I mean, anything manuals, they tell you a certain kind of Loctite. It doesn't have to be Loctite brand per se. It could be Permatex or anything like that. Some people don't use it at all. I mean, it's preference. You know, if you don't feel like the need to use it, don't need to, don't. All right, we're gonna turn this down to 2. We're gonna zip them tight. Now we'll get a socket wrench, follow it up, just being sure that they're tight. You know, I mean, you don't really want to rely on the impact driver. It's not a consistent torque, but there you are. So next thing we're going to do here is let me go around here, grab the air cleaner, and we'll put her back together. And we'll put our spark plug boot back on. Okay. Air cleaner. See, it's pretty darn clean. A little bit of dirt in there, but I mean, it's a generator. You know, I mean, it's not bad enough to where it's gonna run bad or nothing. It's pretty clean. Save the guy some money, I guess. Okay, 8 mil. Be careful starting stuff with the gun. I've got a lot of experience at doing it, so I've got a feel for it. I'll turn this down to 1. There again, I've got a nut driver handle. It's got a square drive on it. It fits a socket. You can use a nut driver. Sure they're tight. Choke. Let me get some fresh gas here, and we'll be back. Troy-Bilt. Well, there it says Briggs & Stratton, Wisconsin. So, maybe it was before MTD ended up with Troy-Bilt brand name. I mean, it's a pretty nice generator, you know. So I mean, it's not like it's a cheap. It seems pretty decently machine, you know. It isn't like a pile of crap that you get nowadays. So it is older. I'm not sure the year. I'll have to look. I want to say I looked at the code, and the code date was I think 06 or 07. So I mean, it does have some age to it. But I think it'll run good. So we get the choke on, fuel's on. Almost. Uh-oh. timer so you want anything else done. Yeah, I think it can really get that gas down. Well, there you have it. We got the generator running. If you look, let me see if I can get you a good shot here. Let me rotate the camera. It says Briggs & Stratton Power Products Group, LLC, Jefferson, Wisconsin. Oh, what's that right there? Made in America. Made in the USA. Awesome. That's why it still runs and works. And it doesn't have an hour meter on it, but looking at the thing, it looks like it's got some hours on it. My neighbor said he's ran it and never had an issue out of it. So doing this little bit of maintenance, I will change the oil, which to change the oil, you drain it here. There's a little pipe plug here you pull out and drain. You've got an oil check level on this side and one just like it on the other side of the engine, along with a drain on the other side of the engine over there. So it's just in whichever way you want to do it. You can check the oil either way. This one, the oil doesn't look terrible, but since it's in here being serviced, I will change the oil just so it's done. But there's the hose that I was telling you about. You had to pull out the valve cover, and it just pulls out. It's just a rubber hose. You kind of just work it out. And then to put it back in, what I do is I'll take the hose and I'll kind of get it in here. Let's see. And then I'll fold it. Let's see. I'll fold it in half like that and work it in. Work it in there till it's in there. And that's it. There's the fuel line back there, that screw. That's your idle adjustment. I didn't mess with it. I just left it where it was. But yeah, seems to be in good shape. It seems to run good. So tomorrow I'll give the guy a call and let him know that his generator's ready to go. And if you enjoyed this video on this Troy-Bilt generator, stop back. I'm going to try and make videos every week to start making like a series of videos on how to fix things. We'll do a bunch of different things. You know, I've got a bunch of bikes to work on. Maybe we'll do some swap meet videos, some car shows, some bike shows.